Now we're gonna put some shades on this cartoon character. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna make the outline invisible. So I'm just gonna switch that off and then just close the group. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this skin tone into a layer by itself. So in order to do so, I go to select, color range. Inside of color range, I choose localized color cluster. So if that's switched off, I'll just switch it on. The range is set to 100 and the fuzziness around 60. So if I then click in the face right here, you'll notice that it becomes very white on this screen over here. If it doesn't, it's because you can't see it and it needs to be set to selection. So I'll switch to selection and then I'll choose for my selection preview to be none. So this needs to be correct in order for this to work. So none and selection, a range of 100 and a fuzziness of around 60 to 70. Okay, so I'll click somewhere in the skin tone, then I'll hold down Shift just to add more skin tone, and I'll click down here and just click on the foot, click somewhere up on the hand, and click somewhere up here and here. So we'll just see everything appear very white over here. If I just click one place without Shift held down, you'll see that some areas become more grayish, meaning that they will only be partly selected. So I'll hold down Shift again and just click in the areas, other areas, so they become not just partly selected, but fully selected. And I can do it either on this screen right here, or I can do it out here on the actual cartoon character. So I'm shift clicking, so it's adding more and more of this skin tone. And I'll click OK. And then we have all the skin tones selected now, and I'll just click Command J, which makes a copy and puts it onto a layer by itself. I'll just switch off the color right here, and you'll see that we have everything on one layer. Okay, so next thing I'll do is I'll just selects the fur of this character and the inside of the ears by just choosing filter, select, and then color range, and I'll then click on the fur and the inside of the ears with shift hold down, just to be sure that I'm really getting this selected correctly. I'll click OK. Then for me to make a copy of this fur color, I'll have to go down to the layer called color and just click Command J again, like J as John Lennon, Command J. And you'll notice on a layer for itself, we now have this fur part. And I can just keep doing that. So I'll just make a layer for each of them. So when we get to the teeth, because the teeth will be almost the same color as the background, instead of choosing select color range, I'll instead choose the magic wand, and I'll switch on contiguous and just click once in the eye right here, and once and shift click on the eye right here. And if I want the teeth to be on the same layer, I'll shift click on that. Yes, so we make sure that we have everything selected right here. The tolerance is set quite low for my magic wand. And just to see that there's a lot of white colors at the edges, so I'm just gonna expand my selection, expand, by 2 pixels, so it just becomes bigger. And then I'm going to fill it with this white color, which is Alt backspace. Alt backspace or Alt delete. But of course I'll do this on a new layer, so I'm going to make a new layer and just hold down Alt or Options and click Delete. So it adds colors in these areas. Okay, so now we have all of these different parts on different layers. I'm going to rename them. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is I'll switch back my contour like this. And now I want to shade. So first off, I'm going to select my skin tone. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my color picker to choose the same color, which is already here. Then I'm going to make it darker. So I'm going to make a darker variant of this one. Darker variant. And I'll make a new layer on top of this skin tone right here. And I'll just start brushing. Perhaps with a lower flow. And, you know, just like this, for example. And at the moment it looks very bad, but if I make this shade right here, if I take that and make it into a layer mask, sorry, a clipping mask, you can just make sure that nothing goes outside of the skin tone. So I'm gonna stand between these two layers. I made this shading layer on top of skin tone, and I'm just gonna hold Alt Options down, and I'll click once between the two on my left mouse button. And you'll notice then that all of this goes inside of the face. So this way you can actually shade outside the character, but making sure that nothing actually goes outside, even though you're coloring, you know, everywhere outside. I'm just gonna delete all the content on this layer and instead use an even lower flow value, perhaps 2% or 1%, and then just try coloring some shades along the edge, and we'll see that suddenly it looks amazingly realistic, three-dimensional. And we'll just keep doing that for some time. So there's no way of getting outside of the skin tone right now, because the skin tone is on a layer by itself, and we've told this new layer that I'm painting on that it's not allowed to go outside the skin tone layer. This is done by making a clipping mask. This clipping mask prevents anything from going outside the layer. And if you're suddenly thinking, this became too much, then you can just hit your eraser, E as eraser, and then just start erasing some of those shades that you made too much of. The next step would be to add highlights. So I'm just going to add one more layer on top of this other one. I'm going to hold down Alt in between the two and just click once. So now we have two layers which are controlled by the layer called skin tone. And here I'll choose a very light tone, So I'm going to choose the flesh tone, and then I'm going to make it lighter. And I'm just going to color it now. And there's this area of the triangle. And nothing goes outside of the character because it's inside of a clipping mask. And if you feel like you added too much highlight in some areas, you can always use your eraser just to go back to the original skin tone. When I'm done with my skin tone layers, I'm just gonna select all of these skin tone layers and put them into a group. So I'll click this group icon down here, create a new group, and we'll just call that skin tones. I'll repeat the process for all of my other layers. So next will be fur, next will be, after that will be disc, and so on. So I'll just make 2 new layers, make sure that I have Alt, click down, and then be in between these 2 layers. So I might as well rename this highlight and the other one shade or shadow. And I could have done the same here, just renamed it highlight and renamed this one shadow. And just so I don't have to make a layer called shadow and highlight too many times, I could simply just select both of them after having made them above this and just Alt, drag them, hold down Alt, and then simply drag them down above eyes. And then we have highlight copy, shadow copy, and then I can just do this again above mouth. And then I can do it again above eyes and teeth. And when I say Alt, I'm referring to the key called Options on some computers. The eyes are a delicate area, so I'm going to use a smaller brush just to make the shadow area right here. So when you're finally about done, what I would do would be to also color the middle ground, the midground, which is the grass and the road, and I'll just wait with coloring the background. So I'll make a layer which will definitely be below all of these different layers with color on. So I'll just make a new layer, and I'm going to call that background. And I'll just try with my paint bucket to see if I can fill it without there being any gaps. So far so good, not good. And we'll just figure out where the gaps are. So I'll just go to my contour layer, choose the color black, and just, make sure that there are no gaps, for example, right here. But I think I'll actually just stick to using my brush to color it green. So I'm gonna take this green color right here and just simply color it in. And instead of adding highlights to clipping masks, I'll just paint it right on. So this road, I'm just gonna make a brighter color for that one and just try to, make some details in this background. Okay, so finally for the background, for the skyline, I'm gonna create a gradient. So I'm gonna create one new layer, gonna put it behind the one called background, and then I'm just gonna, with my paint bucket, select gradient tool instead. And here I'm gonna select some kind of background, let's say just any gradient, and I'll just click and drag just so you can see what it looks like, and perhaps I'll want it to be linear or radial gradient. Really depends on how I prefer it. But let's just make a fairly accurate sky. So I'm gonna click to edit the gradient. Then I'm gonna choose this paint bucket to be blue. Like that. And this one to be a darker variant of blue. And finally, perhaps a very dark blue. I think we'll also select the white. So perhaps it goes from being white to being turkey to being ultramarine to being totally almost black. So let's try this one out. I'm going to click and drag. You can see how this will look. Perhaps this looks more like the sky that you prefer. You will notice quickly if there's any holes inside of your character, because right now I'm seeing some of the background shine through my character. So I can just fix that up by going back to the skin tone layer and just adjusting it. I'm thinking about making a radial gradient. Perhaps going out like this. I think this is what I'm searching for. So I'll just fix the skin tone problem right here. I'll switch off my shadows, just get the skin tone again and switch shadows back on. I'm going to use my brush and I'll just go back here to the mouth and just simply brush this area back on. Perhaps with a higher opacity and a high flow. You can see we simply just put back the skin tone, Just if you put it back too much, you can always erase it. And that's how we color in Photoshop. So good luck with coloring your character in Photoshop. Yeah.